So, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Welcome back to another segment of European news, Champions League news. I have to apologise for being late. I had some technical problems. Hasn't been the first time, and I'm sure it won't be the last time until the channel has come to an end. But we've got James Rowe again back with me. James, how are you keeping?
Very well, thank you, Alex. And was watching with bated breath the Champions League draw last Friday, and we've drawn Bayern Munich. And although I will not be going to the home leg, having experienced Arsenal Bayern Munich in 2013 when they went on to win the German treble, I will be going to Munich. I don't think I'll get a ticket for the match, but it's still a cultural experience to go to Munich, which has always been on my list as someone who loves to travel. So managed to get all that sorted this afternoon. So look forward to it, and there should be a really interesting tie. And I can understand the passion of Arsenal fans, but we haven't been in the Champions League for 14 years in the quarterfinals. A lot's changed within that time, and I think it's going to be really, really tough. And I can understand the confidence of fans, but the first thing that struck me was our European away form. As I've said before, it's not a tap. You can't turn it on. If we have not won under Arteta's tutelage in Castellón, Lisbon, Lens, Eindhoven, Porto, then it's unlikely we're going to win in Munich, isn't it? And especially with the second leg away from home, and when you see Edu's on the Arsenal website saying, just happy to be here. This is where we want to be. It's a quarter-final draw, but this is where we want to be. I found it very, very strange. This is our last chance to win it. There are 5 steps remaining, and the very first one will be at home to Bayern Munich on the 9th of April.
But James, can I take you back to the victorious win? Arsenal versus FC Porto, yes, which I believe you were at.
I was highly
intensive game.
Indeed. And it could have gone either way. A great performance to get over the line because, when it appeared to be, full time, extra time, penalties, I felt that we just about did enough to get over the line. But, we've got to be proud. We've got to be pleased. It was my first ever penalty shootout of any professional game that I attended. And to have won it as well was great. I thought the penalty kick takers did really, really well. I thought Rice's penalty in particular was excellent. And we did really, really well. And, a massive test now. It's quite surprising how the Champions League has 8 participants left who have won it a combined total of 27 times. And, that's only 5 teams out of 8. The others have never won it. We've never won it. Atletico Madrid have never won it. Paris Saint-Germain have never won it. But yet all the 8 are also previous finalists. And I think that we've got the toughest route, especially with the next leg being Real Madrid or Manchester City, again with the second leg away from home. So it'll be really interesting to see how it goes. But, we've got to give it our all. We've got to fight until the very end. And should we not win it this season, then history will judge us as a team that was never good enough to win it. I would love to tell the Cannon Fodder community and your good self about an anecdote which happened to me on the way to the game on last Tuesday night. I'm waiting at the tube station at King's Cross to board the tube. And of course, Arsenal fans talk with one another on the platform. So I raised the point by saying 2006 is still extremely painful. It's the most painful defeat. You never get over it. You just learn to live with it. And then I had one Arsenal fan who said, the referee tucked us right up. I said, no, we had 90 minutes to win a game of football and we didn't. And then I proceeded to say to a fellow Gooner, I can't believe that our best player in the history of our football club never even had a cameo. To which I was I was interrupted by the fan assuming I was talking about Thierry Henry. I wasn't. I was talking about Dennis Bergkamp. And then the fan proceeded to say, but I forgive him, I forgive him, I forgive him. Who? What, Thierry Henry? That he was bearing down on goal and he only had to chip Victor Valdez, but by his own admission his legs went and therefore we didn't win. It's really, really strange, really. Cliff Baston, Ian Wright, Thierry Henry. But again, with Thierry Henry, you can score 228 goals. You can be a legend. Fact is, you never won the Champions League with us, did you? And for me, that sticks in my throat. And then you're speaking to fellow fans, Alex, and they're like, oh, but I forgive him. It's all right. It's all right. It's not all right because we've never won it. So it's not all right. But it just goes to show like the cult-like psyche which is embedded in the club now. Where someone who Arsenal needed a striker to go on and win a league title. But rather than go out and buy one, it was Return of the King. Well, no, use your brain. We're one of the biggest clubs in the country. We can afford a striker. But oh no, we had to get Thierry Henry back, did we? And I just found it really, really strange. Really. It's as if nobody wanted to accept the fact that we've had so much Champions League experience and we've never won it. And then for me to be talking about Dennis Bergkamp and then for someone to get the wrong end of the stick by thinking, no, it's Thierry Henry. No. In my opinion, Dennis Bergkamp is the greatest Arsenal player the club's ever had. And people love to talk about Thierry Henry with the goals he scored, but who set half of them up? Who changed the DNA of the football club a la Arsene Wenger? Dennis Bergkamp did. Who signed Dennis Bergkamp? Wasn't Arsene Wenger? It was Bruce Rioch. Bruce Rioch that signed him, not Arsene Wenger. And again, I just found it very, very strange. I mean, I did also say on the tube that I think it will be a long old night and I think it will go to penalties. Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. What? Am I not allowed to tell the truth then? And look how it's panned out. So, a massive 180 minutes coming. And, history will judge us.
Yeah. But, talking about history, James, of Arsenal and Bayern Munich, I mean, it's quite extensive. I mean, as recent as the 2-2 draw in December 2020, the group stage. 2001, it was a 1-0 to Munich. And in February 2005, Bayern Munich 3, Arsenal 1. So we're quite an extensive history against Bayern Munich, but it just hasn't gone our way. Do you think we're any closer to beating Bayern Munich? I don't know, James. I think we could probably do it over 2 legs, James. I wasn't so confident when playing against FC Porto, but I'm looking at a Bayern Munich team who hasn't really been firing on all cylinders compared to the juggernaut, which is Arsenal. I've got a funny feeling over 2 legs. Although Bayern Munich will be a lot stronger at home, I still think we can overcome Bayern Munich, James, and turn the tide of history, at least. No?
I think we'll win the home leg. I think we'll win the home leg 1-0. Bayern also lost in Rome to Lazio and managed to turn it around. The acid test is when we go to Munich. Because people love to talk about, Leverkusen are top. Leverkusen haven't lost a game. No, okay. But Leverkusen haven't won 33 Bundesliga titles, 20 German Cups, and 6 Champions Leagues, have they? And Bayern have always got the power in their locker. They've always got the it's not just Harry Kane, Gnabry, Thomas Müller, and Joshua Kimmich and Musiala and. It's going to be really, really tough. My initial prediction is that we'll win 1-0 at home at the Emirates. I think we'll lose 1-0 in Munich, and I think it will go to penalties. I think European football has a funny way of coming back on yourself, where you don't have a penalty shootout in years on end, and then in 3 consecutive knockout ties, you might have 3 in a row. So you just never know. I think some of the English media as well, assuming that all Manchester City have got to do is turn up, is being completely disingenuous to Real Madrid, who are coasting towards the La Liga title. Bellingham's doing so well. This is Modric's last season. Toni Kroos, for example. I think it's going to be really, really interesting. But, we've got to do our best. We've got to try to win a trophy. And, Liverpool were on for a quadruple. There's only two trophies. There's only another two trophies that they can win. Manchester City are on for a double treble, as they say. I think the attention they're receiving is a little bit too much. There are 91 other football clubs in England. It's not just Manchester City, is it? And then for Nottingham Forest to receive their points deduction today, for there to be no news about Manchester City's eventual points deduction, it smacks of corruption a little bit. This league is a product. This league isn't to benefit the English game. This was always an international product to sell to the world. Hence why you're having now the problems with the Premier League and the EFL, because by people's own admission, they don't want to be in the EFL. But if you don't respect the pyramid, then what's the point?
That's a good point, James. Just some other news, James. I want to get your opinion on about Ben White not wanting to be selected for the Euros. Do you think it's a bit disingenuous that when your country comes calling, that you're not wanting to participate or represent? Or you think he has every right to turn down the opportunity to represent his country?
What I will say is two things which you might not hear on TalkSport and you might not hear on national radio, but I will always tell people on Cannon Fodder the truth. The landscape of international football has changed. It's no longer the highest barometer. It's no longer the highest of the high. It's now a way of making your own brand, in inverted commas, bigger. It's no longer about the pride of representing your country. You can go through the majority of European nations, and there are cases such as Frimpong, who plays for the Netherlands, and Loic Nego, who plays for Hungary. Neither of them have any command of the language of the country they represent. They're not able to speak the language of that country, but yet they represent the people. And they are just two examples. They are just two examples of not being able to speak Dutch and not being able to speak Hungarian, and but yet representing the country. Also, you have Spain, for example. Spain have a rich history. Spain won the Euros with two French centre-backs. How does that work? Aymeric Laporte played for France in the youth setup all the way through, signed for Bilbao, became naturalised, and is eligible to play for Spain. Robin Lenormand, the same with Real Sociedad, exactly the same. And I think now, I've always been pro-immigration, especially with the decision that I've made in my life to move from England to the Netherlands almost 2 decades ago. But I will say it once again, in terms of society, people have the freedom, and thankfully and rightfully so, to do whatever they wish. But in terms of sporting competition, when you start blurring the lines, when you start enabling players who have no command of the language of the country they're representing, they're just using it to further their own means. It really does make a mockery of international football. If I go back to my first major tournament in 1990, the famous Cameroon side that reached the quarterfinals with Roger Milla, Cyril Makanaki, Mkono, Oman Biig. This is 34 years ago, but the names still resonate because what they did was they performed a miracle with their own people, and they showed the world who they are. Whereas now it's not really the same, is it? It's the same way of scouting a player. It's no longer we want him. It's we need to get him before he goes to the other country. So it's like another form of transfer business, really. As I've said before, Alex, for the people who have the privilege, and I mean privilege, to choose which country they play for, you would expect them to choose with their heart, not with their brand in mind, not with their pocket. Because you can sign for any club tomorrow, but the passport you have is of the country you are born to, that you have an affiliation with. And I just think it's become so watered now where I will happily go on record and say that Euro 2024 is my last international tournament. I will sign off from international football after this one because it makes a mockery of what international football is. How on earth can you represent the people of the country if you have no command of the language of that country? How are you supposed to identify with the people, with the greengrocer, with the solicitor, with the road sweeper? How are you supposed to represent them if you've got no command of the country? And it's the same with the Lionesses. They have a national team manager who's from The Hague. When they reached the final, the whole country was banging the drum for equality and diversity. Brilliant. I am also a fan of those two things, but you cannot tell me that there wasn't a little girl who was watching, who was living in Nottingham, Sheffield, Liverpool, Leeds, Birmingham, Manchester, who thought, I would want to be manager of the England women's team one day. And she looks and she sees who's in her position, and it's someone from The Hague in the Netherlands. You wouldn't have a foreign prime minister, would you?
No.
Well, this is exactly the same thing. This is exactly the same thing, but society's no, it's all right, it's brilliant. It's not. It's who are you trying to kid? Who are you trying to kid? And I just think international football has just become, well, excuse the pun, it's become a football to be kicked about. It's no longer about the eligibility. It's no longer about the heart and the desire. And I find that extremely, extremely upsetting.
Just talking about players who've gone abroad to apply their trade. One player has come to mind, and the reason why he's come to mind is because I've looked at the Gareth Southgate's squad for the Brazil and I think Belgium match. Jordan Henderson, because he left to go to the Middle East, and then he's since gone to Ajax.
Yeah.
And he's been selected for the squad. I'm thinking surely a player who should have probably been selected in James Ward-Prowse has not been selected for that midfield position there. But how is Jordan Henderson getting on in Ajax, James?
He's struggling. He's struggling because, first and foremost, got no command of the language, even though he's only been here 2.5 months. He's captain, and I'm not being funny, young Dutch players don't necessarily understand him in English with his very, very strong northeast accent. The audacity to wear the captain's armband of Ajax when you've only been here 5 minutes borders on silliness, really. When you look at the captains that club has had, but he's been given it purely on the basis that he is the one who has the most experience. And that just shows you how lost the club is. The club is now chasing Euro signs. When you open up the app of Ajax to buy your match day ticket or to check news on the club, everything is in English. But the club is Amsterdam Football Club Ajax. But because the technology of iPhones and apps is only in one language, that is how it is. That is how it is. And it's very much the way of the world. But I just find it very, very strange. And as regards to Henderson, it just goes to show that if you're part of Southgate's inner circle, you're in. Doesn't matter what you do, you are in. Sir Alf Ramsey never had 4 major tournaments. So Bobby Robson never had 4. Glenn Hoddle never had 4. Hodgson never had 4. But Southgate gets 4. He can tell you everything about Israel. He can tell you everything about LGBT and Iran. But the fact remains he is a football manager. And I just find it very, very strange. Really, I do. And as I say, I will get through to the Euros and then I will sign off from international football, for Loic Nego representing France through different youth categories by his own admission, not being able to speak Hungarian, but yet representing the national team. Frimpong, who moved from the Netherlands to the youth setup of Scotland, youth setup of Celtic in Scotland at the age of 7. He has no command of Dutch. He speaks English like we speak English. But we're not representing the Dutch national team, are we? I could, but I am what I am. I am what I am. I'm able to speak to the Dutch press. I work for the Amsterdam City Council. That tells you all you need to know. But something has happened where after 7 years of his life in this country, he has no command of Dutch whatsoever. He was asked on a football interview on the Rondo with Van Basten and Yuri Mulder and Khalid Boularus. How's your Dutch? Yeah, it's getting better, he said. He said exactly like that. So not, ja, het wordt steeds beter. Ik krijg steeds meer vertrouwen. No. It's getting better. It's fine, yeah. It's obviously not that good because you're not eligible to do a simple, basic interview about football when you represent the country. So you're using it for your own means. And the only reason why he's there is because he's quick and he's got pace. Otherwise, he wouldn't even be there. And when he rocks up in Zeist at the training centre of the Dutch FA, the Kane afc, what does he get as a reception? My guy, my G, yes, blood. We're talking about the Netherlands Dutch national football team. This is what we're talking about here. And I just find international football to have become so watered down now that if I had my way, I'd disband it. Get rid of it. I'm currently reading Pelé's book, and the humility of the man. He's not called the greatest of all time for nothing. And when he talks about playing for his country, he was asked to return for the 1974 World Cup, but he said no. He said no. You've got to think of the next generation. He cited the lack of preparation in 74. He initially retired in 66, but by Pelé's own admission, I did not want to leave the international football scene a loser. So what does he do? He goes back and makes his country world champion for a third time. For a third time under the tutelage of Zagallo and also Tostão and Carlos Alberto. If you look at Brazil now, and Dani Alves saying, yeah, we want Guardiola. We could have had Guardiola as manager of Brazil. Go back through history. Vicente Fiola, Aimore Moreira, Mario Zagallo. These were the three that won the first 3 tournaments for Brazil. And then obviously you fast forward to 94, 2002, and since 2002, no title for Brazil. But reading that book, I know the world has changed. But honestly, international football is ill. And for the people that think everything is fine, to put it politely, I just think they're being silly.
James, a couple of questions for you before I wrap this one up. In regards to England managers, you rate Bob Robson as the best England manager because he went abroad, he won numerous titles. And of course, going abroad means you have to integrate yourself and learn the language. But what about the greatest England player? Would it have to have been a player who went abroad, learned the language, and also won major honours?
Well, I think if I can break it down into two parts. The first one about management. Nobody has done what Sir Bobby Robson has done because they don't have the courage to do what he's done. It's an amazing career. For anybody who's not read his autobiography of Farewell But Not Goodbye, it's amazing. You know, he could have been Arsenal manager. We'd have never heard of Arsene Wenger. If Pinto da Costa would have let him go, we'd have never heard of him. He was all set to become Arsenal manager after Borussia Lyon, but Pinto da Costa of Porto wouldn't let him go. to go looking for the challenge of PSV Eindhoven, Sporting Lisbon, Barcelona, FC Porto. No other English manager's done that. But he went looking for it. This is in the 1980s. He was approached to become manager of Everton, and he was given a cheque for £50,000. £50,000. He said, "I will become manager of Everton on one condition: if this leaks to the press, I will not become your manager." So it leaked to the press, and he ripped up a cheque for £50,000. This is the 1980s. Ripping up a cheque for £50,000 shows you the integrity of the man. But look at the reward of the man. The reward is you go and you make history in not just England, but the Netherlands, Spain, and Portugal. And that's an amazing, amazing thing. In terms of a player, Bobby Charlton is the greatest all-round English player there's ever been. Bobby Charlton is the greatest English footballer the country's ever produced in terms of an all-round footballer. I think with his background, it was never conducive for Bobby Charlton to go abroad, although I know that Real Madrid did try their hardest. They also tried to sign Pelé when he left Santos. The show just goes to show. But I think times are changing. But I just think for the people that think this is all right, it's not all right. What are you trying to kid? When I give people the example of you wouldn't have a foreign prime minister, they all go, no, you wouldn't. So why would you have a foreign manager then? Why would you have players who have no affiliation of or no awareness of the language of the country that they live in or the country they represent? I'm charmed by Brazil. I don't have a Brazilian passport. I've only ever been to Rio de Janeiro once in my life. I've got no eligibility for Brazil. I'm eligible to represent Great Britain, Northern Ireland or England in a sporting sense. I'm not eligible for a Dutch passport. Okay, fine. I've accepted it. But I still speak Dutch to the best of my ability. I still harbour ambitions of having another foreign experience at some point in my life. I've still been, working so hard the last 2 decades in the Netherlands to achieve some form of greatness. But I think it's just very much a sign of the times now where people think they can buy success. You can't buy it. It's either in you or it isn't. And I just think with international football, I just find it a shame that it's gone so far now, where it's just no longer what can I do for my country? It's what can my country do for me? And I think that's very, very dangerous.
Yeah, James, just very quickly. So James Ward-Prowse, he should have been included in the squad, shouldn't he?
Yeah, but if it was a footballing decision, but it's not a footballing decision, is it?
Yeah,
we've
ridiculous.
I have no. My grandfather was a staunch Labour supporter. I'm not allowed to vote in general elections in the UK because I've been away for too long. So I will always keep an eye on Labour. But I must say, in my lifetime, there has only ever been one Prime Minister, and that was David Cameron, who wanted to put a rocket up the backside of the FA by suggesting if you do not get your house in order, there will be a general inquiry into your endeavours and into your transactions and into your daily work and what you do. Now, he was the only one of all the years who suggested such a thing. But the FA, honestly, it's but to sanction the Premier League, to play second fiddle, very, very strange. Very strange. And I just think with Southgate, I think England will be lucky to get through the group. And then what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to have another foreign manager? So that by the same opinion, we can get rid of Rishi Sunak and appoint Emmanuel Macron, can we?
In this day and age, James, anything is possible, I believe.
Well, yeah, but I find in a day in a current day and age, Alex, of 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 sowing hate and sowing division, you bring people together first and foremost by telling the truth in a free press, and then the general public being able to communicate with one another, preferably in the local language of the country that they live in.
Mm,
If you are a foreigner or if you are a holidaymaker, of course you can't do this. But in terms of the general consensus, like for example in Amsterdam, there's a huge expat community. I'm not part of it. Should the expat community continue, I will leave. But I will leave on my own terms because I decided that living and working abroad, what that means for me. And
mm,
it doesn't mean being asked in your free time in the city centre when you go shopping or when you go out for a coffee. It doesn't mean being requested to speak in your mother tongue and then have people hesitating in shops and services. Whereas for my daily work of the Amsterdam City Council, people can't tell the difference. The same way I was asked by my colleague today, are you English? Yes. And his response was, I can't tell. And I joked with him. I joked with him, Alex, by saying, my name's a bit of a giveaway, isn't it? I joked with him. It's testament to how hard I've worked, where you go from state school at the age of 16 to the Amsterdam City Council. Nobody put me there. I put myself there. There was no greasing the wheels. There was no hush hush, wink wink. I had to fight to get there. And now I'm there. I'm hell bent on enjoying myself. And then when the time comes, it will probably be Dudui Amsterdam and it will probably be Hola Madrid or Hola Porto. But we shall see. All in its own time.
yeah, but you know what, James? Just before we go into live chat, the moment I realised that you were fluent in Dutch was when you were doing. I think you did like 3 shows with
Yeah,
Sharifa last year,
yeah, we
and
did
like
well.
so already myself were listening and thought James is fluent in Dutch.
Yeah,
Incredible, absolutely
yeah.
incredible, James. So that's not again something's happened overnight.
No,
You've
no, no.
had to work
It's
at it.
eight. It's 18 years
Yeah,
of awareness. Like for example, when you work, like in my case, working for the city council, it's a massive privilege, huge. And I joke with my colleagues, it's like working for Real Madrid. You can't go anywhere. Where am I supposed to go after this? Where am I supposed to go after this? But as we've said on podcasts before, and I'm sure there's someone watching tonight, regardless of gender, regardless of age, I'm sure there's someone watching tonight that would love to learn a foreign language that's maybe up against it, that's maybe being ridiculed or something like that. Keep going. Keep going and don't give up and don't give in because you can get there. Miracles can happen. British people are often maligned for not speaking foreign languages. We are not all the same. Some of us are that good, like your good self in Spanish and my good self in Dutch. Some people are that good, people don't know the difference. But it's testament to hard work, and we never give up and we never give in.
absolutely. Let's go through this. There's only been a few comments in the live chat, but we'll read them out anyway.
Yeah.
The moderator for the show, Ashley, says, "Hey up, Gooners," and he follows it by saying, "This beats any rant that Alex." I'm taking a back seat now.
No, well, yeah, but I've been speaking on this platform for 5 years. We've got a couple of shows left before the show is disbanded. I like to think that I've always told the truth. I have never once lied to anybody, and I will never lie to anybody. I'm not religious. We all leave with nothing. We leave everything behind. We don't take
Absolutely.
anything with us. So why not pass on your knowledge? Why not give it all away? Why not try to have some principles? Because I think in the year 5000, I think everybody worldwide will speak the same language. We'll have no passports. We'll have a chip inside of us. there'll be no money. It will just be. Doesn't bear thinking about, does it?
No, he doesn't actually. Anyway, Colin's in the house. He says, "Let's go, James. A great guest as always, and supremely hosted is Channel 4 TV advantage overall." Thank you for that, Colin, and thank you for
very
your
much.
personal message in regards to about the channel coming to a close. Listen, guys, it's not the end just yet. We've still got some more time between now and the end of the season. And hopefully it depends on the run that Arsenal can put together in the Champions League. But James will always be here as long as we are here.
Yeah, well, we've got 2 preview shows of Bayern Munich coming up. Tonight was also previewing the draw as well. And if I can touch on the other quarterfinals, I think that Real Madrid will beat Manchester City over 2 legs. I think Barcelona will beat Paris Saint-Germain over 2 legs. And I think that it's something about Dortmund. And I think they could well sneak a place in the final potentially. And something about them. Here in the Netherlands, former Dutch national team player Jordi Mulder decided to describe Marco Reus as over the hill. And when I heard that, I put my head in my hands. I thought, how on earth, on such a platform, can you describe Marco Reus as over the hill? If Marco Reus had not succumbed to injuries, he would be in the same pantheon as Luka Modric and Xavi and Iniesta. He's that technically gifted.
Let's go, Slackers. That like button needs some loving. And journalists are last in their opinion or company agenda rather than reporting the facts. That is absolutely spot on, Jack.
It's a great point from Colin. But as someone who's got almost 8 years' experience writing about football, interviewing more than 400 professional football players and managers, speaking on TalkSport, I always think you've got an obligation to tell the truth. It's not about me. It's not about me. It's about the message. Like, for example, speaking to Perry Groves, who was playing in that very first match that I went to in February '91. Who was going to say that 3 years later, the number 7 driving down the wing that day was going to say to the little boy in the crowd, 33 years later, James, I won't say NSA no Megan the way you say it. I'll just say NEC. So you just never know what's around the corner. What's around the corner in life. You have to embrace things. When you log on to LinkedIn in this day and age, it's as if everyone is making progress, and it's as if I can imagine some people must think, but just remember, social media isn't real. Yeah. What is real is what you've achieved in life. Like, for example, in my case, I get up every day and I go to work for the city council, which has the emblem of the city on my pay packet. So I work for the city I choose to live in. Now, I'd much rather have that. But I'm sure there's people watching today that think, I'd love to be in such a position. Just remember, you always have to stay true to yourself. Yeah. You always have to stay true to yourself. And, there's people that will toe the line or have a particular narrative. But my response to that is, who are you trying to kid?
So, James, we've got there's a bit of a lull between now and Arsenal's next game, which will be on the 31st of March. Just have to read it here, and it will be against Man City.
Yeah, I'd take a draw now if somebody offers me a draw. I would, and then it keeps us top with 9 games remaining. I'd take a draw now, and it's going to be really, really interesting. And we've got two chances to win a trophy. If we don't win a trophy, it's 4 years without a trophy, and then Arsenal are at a crossroads. Should Arteta be still in a job, I will vote with my feet, because clubs like Barcelona, Real Madrid, if you don't win anything for 2 years, you're out in your ear. But that's why they're so big. Liverpool, if you don't win anything for a couple of years, you're out in your ear. And we need to be. We used to be really ruthless. I'm sure there's people watching tonight that have never known Arsenal to be ruthless, but we used to be in the mid-90s under George Graham, Danny Fisman, and Peter Hill-Wood and Ken Fryer. We used to be extremely ruthless, but now we're far too concerned with the brand. I mean, we're going to be playing Bayern Munich wearing green shirts. We're not St Etienne. We're not Plymouth. But we're going to play in the Allianz with a European shirt of green, trying to reach a Champions League semi-final. We don't play in green. We play in red and white and yellow and blue. So it's simple, isn't it?
Well said. Colin, I understand what you're saying. We weren't thinking that you were talking about James. I wasn't referring to you, James. You are a fantastic journalist. Most are not, and I know that. For years I've been doing transfer news and seeing all the silliness coming through. Journalists are thinking about the numbers first and everything else afterwards.
No, I understood Colin's point, and I knew that he wasn't referring to me, and I just think it's important to tell the truth. It's so important to tell the truth, but it's the easiest thing you can do. It doesn't cost you any money, does it?
It's the easiest thing not to do, James, because there is a saying that the truth will go around the world twice before. A lie will go around the world twice before truth can get her shoes on, and it seems like the lie sells better than the truth. I don't know.
Well, I just find it like, for example, they have a gossip column regarding football players. Here's the question for you: how many lives has that destroyed?
Many.
How many lives is that destroyed? But they'll talk about lives being destroyed in Russia and Ukraine and Israel and Gaza, but lives are also being destroyed through rumour and hearsay in football. Yeah. So why not talk about that as well?
Yeah.
Well, I've got lots of stories, but I've also got respect for my fellow man, for my fellow professional, and it's you try to do your best, and we'll see how things go in the future.
Yeah. So James, after that Man City fixture, then we have Luton Town, who are a little bit in freefall. James.
Yes, but it's a long old season. I think it'll be great for them to stay up. I think it'll be great for the pyramid, and Nottingham Forest deduction as well. But we just got to take it one game at a time. There will also be freak results. There will also be freak results between now and the end of the season. People that are expecting Arsenal to romp away with it. We've got to win a trophy. That's what we've got to do. We've got to win a trophy. If we don't win a trophy, what are we going to celebrate? Another glorious failure? Is it going to be, but it's Man City and what? We're bigger than Man City, are we not?
Well, I know what's going to happen. There'll be a mountain of excuses, and then he'll carry on.
But as we say, who are you trying to kid? Who are you trying to kid?
Well, there are many who are falling for it, James. Well, there are many people who are falling for it.
More fool them. More fool them. My response to the people that fall for it is, what does football mean to you? That's my response to them. My response to them is, what does football mean to you? Glorious failure. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. We were trying to educate a fan a couple of weeks ago not to buy the latest shirt. Hopefully our advice helped. There is no need to buy any latest shirt, any of the four, any of the training kit. You do not have to buy it. Pay your bills, pay your mortgage, go out for dinner, go to the cinema, buy a book. There are lots of different things you can do. And rather than spending it on shirts, and Arsenal have an opportunity to go back to the two major colours. They could easily say, as of next season, these are our two new kits and they're valid for 3 years. Simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can fight climate change, but no, the climate change part is just to hand in your recyclables. Just hand in your recyclables. Just as I say, for me, a football program book is enough, and we'll just see how it goes, and what will be will be.
Okay, and that's it. We've come to an end on this latest segment on a Champions League football. I've got a funny feeling we can overcome Bayern Munich. Yeah, but who knows? Who knows? And that's the wonderful thing about football. You can't predict it.
No.
Can you? No, you can't.
No. But it's becoming. It's no longer about the magic. It's about the spreadsheet. It's about the social media clout. It's about the amount of people that are looking, it's just very, very strange.
Absolutely. Just last few comments. Ashley says, I have not bought a top for about 5 years.
Well done, Ashley.
Keep it up.
Done.
Yeah,
keep it up. Keep it up.
This year, it seems that they are bringing out a new kit every 3 months. And you know what? There's a lot of people who will still go out and buy them, even if it was 2 months.
Yeah.
I've said what I had to say.
Yeah.
Colin says the Kool-Aid consumption is at an all-time high. I do like Arsenal clothes though.
Yeah. Well, I've got my 71 replicas that are 20 years old, and you can put them in the wash 1,000 times, and they still come out okay.
On that note, we have come to an end. The next time you will see me will be next week. Yes, only one live show this week. No Easy Talk. But I believe on Tuesday will be Glenwyn's Tuesday night show. But for me, myself, and I'm signing off this week. James, as always, it's a pleasure. And it was a pleasure seeing you last week in the flesh again.
No, wonderful. We had a nice meal, and it was great company. And look forward to the preview shows against on the 8th of April regarding the home leg against Bayern Munich, and then obviously maybe later later in the week as well, discussing the fallout and previewing the next leg, because I leave for Munich on the 14th of April. So looking forward to that. And it'll be another away day for the memory book. I don't know if I'll get to the game, but I'll try my best, and we'll see how things go.
Brilliant. Anyway, James, again, it's always been a pleasure to have you on. And it's funny, even my family was saying, but you're coming to an end on the channel. But that guy, James, how did you meet James? Was it not on Ryan's?
Yeah, on Ryan's channel. He invited us, and then this was 2019, wasn't it? My goodness.
That's right.
My goodness. If you go back into the previous videos, we look so young. We look, but the message is always the same, isn't it?
It's always the same. I sound like a broken record, James.
Yeah, no, I must as well. All you have to do is insert European team here, but at least we've got our memories. That's the most important thing.
You can't take that away from us. All right, people. So that is that. Enjoy Glenwyn's show tomorrow. I believe it's a 7:30 p.m. kickoff. And again, there will be no Easy Talk or any other live shows this week. You will see me next week, same time, same place, just a different day, and maybe some more rants. Who knows? Anyway, James, thank you very much. And this has been Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world.